A very good afternoon. The one-day-old Karnataka government under Chief Minister B.S. Yediyurappa has been ordered by the Supreme Court to take a floor test at 4 p.m. tomorrow to prove its majority. All the details on that big story and much more coming up in the midday news. First up, the headlines. Supreme Court orders floor test in Karnataka Assembly at 4 p.m. on Saturday. Test to be conducted under pro tem Speaker. Cuts down 15-day window given by Karnataka Governor to B.S. Yediyurappa to prove majority. Will prove majority in the Assembly, says Yediyurappa after Supreme Court's interim order. Congress says constitutional morality and democracy have been upheld. BSF Jawan killed and another injured in unprovoked Pakistani firing along international border in Arnia sector of Jammu. 4 civilians killed in shelling in border villages. Vice President stresses on need for human resource in the health sector. Asks public health experts, healthcare professionals and communities to jointly promote hygiene and sanitation. And Donald Trump says North Korean leader Kim Jong-un's security would be guaranteed in any denuclearization deal. Says US will go on to the next step if the planned summit in June does not materialize. The biggest story this afternoon, the Supreme Court has ordered a floor test in Karnataka at 4 p.m. on Saturday. The 3-judge bench headed by Justice A.K. Sikri said that let the House decide and the best course would be a floor test. The Supreme Court also said that oaths should be administered to all MLAs before the floor test tomorrow, and B.S. Yediyurappa cannot take any policy decisions until tomorrow. The floor test will be held under a pro tem Speaker. The court's interim order came on the plea filed by the Congress JDS challenging Governor Vajubhai Vala's decision to invite B.S. Yediyurappa to form the government. Supreme Court also said that the member of Anglo-Indian community cannot be nominated ahead of the floor test. So the Supreme Court has reduced the 15-day window given by Karnataka Governor to BJP Chief Minister B.S. Yediyurappa to prove majority. The court has also made it clear that it would deal with the constitutionality of the governor's letter inviting Yediyurappa to form the government later. Senior advocate Mukul Rohtgi, appearing for Yediyurappa, had sought a reasonable time till Monday for the floor test. The Supreme Court also turned down Yediyurappa's request for a secret ballot during the floor test. The hearing went on for more than an hour and Yediyurappa placed before the court the letters that he had sent to the governors taking claim to form the government. Yediyurappa told the court that being the single largest party, the BJP was the mandate of the people of the state who have thrown the Congress out. Rohtgi told the bench that there was no pre-poll alliance between the Congress and the JDS and they have formed an unholy alliance after the elections. Meanwhile, the Congress party has hailed the Supreme Court verdict as historic. A newly elected Karnataka Chief Minister B.S. Yediyurappa, however, has exuded confidence that he will prove majority on the floor of the House.
It is a historic interim order. The order is historic because the court has directed a confidence motion within less than 36 hours. The confidence motion is subject to many safeguards. Members of the Anglo-Indian community cannot be nominated. Mr. Yediyurappa conceded through his counsel that he cannot have any major policy decisions taken. Security was provided. A pro tem speaker, not a regular speaker, will conduct. He will swear in everybody before 4 o'clock and all will assemble and have the vote of confidence at 4 o'clock. It is clear that the Yediyurappa letters disclosed today did not give any details. Yediyurappa ji की चिट्ठियां जिनका आज खुलासा हुआ, कोई भी उसमें तथ्य नहीं थे कि किस आशा और विश्वास पे उन्होंने बहुमत मांगा है। उन्होंने कोई तथ्य नहीं दिया ये बताने के लिए कि क्या आधार है उनका ये विश्वास, ये बहुमत मांगने का। Therefore, it actually, in a way, according to us, proves our point that he had no basis for laying stake to form the government.
The Supreme Court. Now I will go and discuss with Chief Secretary. Tomorrow I will call for assembly session and other procedures will follow. And I have got 100% confidence we are going to get full majority and we will prove the majority.
And minutes after the Supreme Court ordered a floor test over the trial of strength in Karnataka on Saturday, the BJP expressed confidence of winning the trust vote. In fact, taking to Twitter, Union Minister Prakash Javadekar said that BJP is ready and confident of winning the trust vote in Karnataka.
I would like to thank the honorable judges of the Supreme Court who once again rose to the occasion and saved the democracy and established once again that in this country there's rule of law.
हमारे पास पूरा नंबर है, हम जीतेंगे।
सुप्रीम कोर्ट के फैसले से खुश हो आप?
बहुत खुश है।
पहले 15 दिन का टाइम मिला था, इतनी जल्दी कम टाइम हुआ।
कम टाइम में हम फ्लोर टेस्ट पास करेंगे।
अरे इसमें दो राय है क्या? हमारी सरकार वहां बन चुकी है और हमारी बहुमत वहां साबित हो जाएगी। बहुमत साबित करने के लिए विधानसभा ही तो एकमात्र फ्लोर होता है जहां इसको प्रमाणित किया जा सकता है।
ये बहुत ही ऐतिहासिक अंतरिम आदेश सर्वोच्च न्यायालय ने दिया है। हम जिस मांग को लेकर के आधी रात को उच्चतम न्यायालय गए थे, दोनों मांगे हमारी उच्चतम न्यायालय ने मांगी। पहली मांग कि श्री येडियुरप्पा को गवर्नर ने गलत तरीके से इनवाइट किया है। इस पर सर्वोच्च न्यायालय 10 हफ्ते के बाद जो है एक सुनवाई, लंबी सब पक्षों की सुनवाई करने के बाद एक बड़ा फैसला देगा। दूसरी हमारी मांग थी कि इसमें बदबू आती है कि जब दूसरे पक्ष के पास मेजॉरिटी नहीं है, उसको क्या 15 दिन का वक्त जो है वो हॉर्स ट्रेडिंग करने के लिए दिया गया है। तो उच्चतम न्यायालय ने ये बात हमारी मान ली कि हाँ, वाकई ही ये वक्त जो है लगता है कि हॉर्स ट्रेडिंग करने के लिए दिया गया है।
And constitutional expert Subhas C. Kashyap expressed satisfaction with the Supreme Court verdict and said that the majority cannot be proven in the corridors of a court but only on the floor of the House.
प्रक्रिया है उसमें, उसके अनुसार राज्यपाल को पहले सदन की बैठक कन्वीन करनी होगी, उसके बाद अंतरिम प्रोटेम स्पीकर प्रोटेम की नियुक्ति करनी होगी, उसके बाद सेशन में स्पीकर प्रोटेम ओथ दिलाएंगे मेंबरों को और उसके बाद रेगुलर स्पीकर का चुनाव होगा और उसके बाद ही विश्वास प्रस्ताव आएगा। तो मैं समझता हूँ ये सब काम करने के लिए संभवतः ज़रूरी होगा कि अर्ली मॉर्निंग में प्रातः सुबह बहुत जल्दी सदन की बैठक हो और ये सब काम 4 बजे तक पूरे किए जा सकें तक।
All right, my colleague Akhilesh Suman is now joining us from outside the BJP office in Delhi. Akhilesh, fast-paced developments we are seeing after the Karnataka results. Yesterday, B.S. Yediyurappa was sworn in as the Chief Minister and now he has to prove his majority at 4 p.m. tomorrow. Supreme Court there slashing the time that he has to rack up the numbers to 24 hours. Indeed, pressure on BJP to get those numbers now.
Yeah, it's quite natural when the difference between the two political parties or alliance is very thin. It's very difficult and it's really very interesting that how can they garner the number. And as the BJP is claiming, both BJP and Congress JDS alliance, both are claiming that we will have the adequate number. I was talking to BJP leaders in the morning and after the verdict also. They are very hopeful that, they are telling two things. One is that our government is there in the state, our government is there in the center. Second thing, they are telling that our MLAs have not gone anywhere else other than Bangalore. They are all stations in Bangalore. So there is no locational problem for our MLAs to come and be present in the House. And the third thing, they are telling that the mandate was against Congress and JDS, and the mandate was against both of them, but they have aligned together and they are going against the will of the respective MLAs of the respective parties. So there might be some rebellion inside the party, either the JDS or the Congress, and they are also citing the Lingayat, Vokalinga factor. There are the rival communities in the state, and that may impact the whole voting pattern tomorrow when the MLAs are gathered in the floor of the House. And it's a very interesting situation that both the alliances are tight-lipped about their strategy, about their tactics, how will they win the vote. But indeed, it is war of nerves, and in war of nerves, they will have to show confidence till the last moment, and we will see that how things unfold till tomorrow 4 p.m. Aishwarya.
Right. Thank you so much, Akhilesh, for all those updates there from the BJP office. We'll keep coming back to you the subsequent bulletins. Meanwhile, the Congress party has sought an appointment with President Ram Nath Kovind on behalf of the like-minded opposition parties over the Karnataka developments. The party wishes to apprise the president about the Karnataka governor inviting the BJP to form government in the state, even though there was a split verdict in the assembly election. Now, PTI is quoting a Congress source as saying that though the party has sought an appointment with Kovind tomorrow, they're likely to meet him next week in the view of the floor test to be held in Karnataka Assembly tomorrow as ordered by the Supreme Court. All right, my colleague Arvind Kumar Singh is now joining us live from outside the Congress office in Delhi. Arvind, Yediyurappa is going to take the floor test tomorrow at 4 p.m. But there's also a challenge for the Congress party as well, because the party has to ensure that it keeps its flock together to ensure that its MLAs do not either abstain or cross-vote or do not resign.
जी बिल्कुल ऐश्वर्या, आपने ठीक कहा। कांग्रेस ने जो है लगभग सारी तैयारियां कर रखी हैं, और अगर आप देखेंगे तो डे फर्स्ट से जिस दिन से मतगणना हुई, वहाँ गुलाम नबी आज़ाद से लेकर के अशोक गहलोत जैसे नेताओं को उसने भेजा। उसके बाद जो है जब उनको लगा कि वो जो है कहीं दूर, बहुत बहुमत से दूर हैं, तो जेडीएस को सपोर्ट किया। और तभी से अगर आप पूरी रणनीति देख रही होंगी तो तुरंत चुनाव के तुरंत बाद इन्होंने सारे के सारे विधायकों को अपने जो है एकजुट करने के रखने की पूरी कोशिश की है। तो कांग्रेस की कोशिश ये है कि जो फ्लोर में जो टेस्ट होगा उसमें उसके जो लोग हैं वो साथ रहें, और जो विश्वास मत है वो येदियुरप्पा ना जीत पाएँ, और उस तरह से ये इनके हाथ में जो है जो सरकार की बागडोर रहे, इसके लिए पूरी की पूरी कोशिश इन लोगों ने अपने तरफ से की हुई है, और इसीलिए सारे बड़े लीडर वहाँ हैं। जी ऐश्वर्या।
Right. Thank you so much, Arvind, for all those updates. There we'll keep coming back to you. Meanwhile, let's also understand what is happening in Karnataka, because the Congress and the JDS today moved its lawmakers out of Karnataka, alleging poaching attempts by the BJP. Meanwhile, both the Congress and JDS MLAs have reportedly reached Hyderabad, and they have been shifted to Taj Krishna Hotel. Security has been tightened in and around that area where the MLAs are staying. These MLAs were earlier staying at the Eagleton Resort in Bengaluru itself. All right, let's get all the updates from Panchanan, who is joining us live from Bengaluru. Panchanan, we saw that amid fears of a defection, the Congress-JDS combined had shifted their lawmakers yesterday out of Bengaluru, but obviously today they'll have to double back for the floor test.
Exactly, Aishwarya. A major twist and turns here in Karnataka politics, and we have asked the Congress leaders that but what time your MLAs will now come for floor test. They have confirmed that tomorrow morning they are taking their MLAs flying back to Bengaluru, and there will be a floor test at 4 p.m. So before it, CM Yediyurappa has now sent recommendation for convening the House tomorrow at 11 a.m. So now there is the legislative process has begun, and now governor is now going to convene the House, and as the Supreme Court has decided that pro tem speaker will conduct all the proceedings of these trust vote. So all eyes are on this assembly session. So since morning, I think there will be, as Subhash Kashyap has mentioned, that since morning the House proceedings has to be convened, because of there will be oath first, and then there will the process of the trust vote will start. So the BJP, Congress both are looking now. They are saying that they are confident that numbers are in their favor, but the House now will decide, and as the Supreme Court has decided that from 15 days it will be reduced to 24 hours. Now it is certainly a big challenge for the BJP here.
All right. Thank you so mumuch, Panchanan, for all those updates there from Bengaluru. So a lot of action happening after the results of the Karnataka election. We saw all the attention in Bengaluru, thereafter the Supreme Court, and again tomorrow we'll see all the action shifting to Karnataka, because it is here that the floor test is going to happen. Meanwhile, seeking adoption of the Karnataka example in Goa, the Congress today staked claim to form the government in the state, where it had emerged as the single largest party in the assembly polls held last year. The party submitted letter to Governor Mridula Sinha seeking invite to prove majority in the House. After the Goa Assembly elections held in March last year, the Congress had 16 seats in the 40-member Assembly. With the 14 seats, the BJP had formed the government in alliance with the Goa Forward Party and the MGP, both of which had secured 3 seats each. 3 independents also went with the BJP. And in midday news, we'll take a very short break. We'll be back with more news. Don't go anywhere.
Arsenic concentration in the groundwater was increasing every year. We are very unlucky that we have been born in an era where the arsenic concentration has exceeded the WHO permissible limit, that is 10 microgram per liter. Doing good research does not mean that one has to do something which will be groundbreaking. One can take up the indigenous problem. We can do innovations to such a level that the technology developed can be low cost, it can reach people, it can have very high outreach capability.
Watch Eureka with Dr. Sirshendu Dey, Professor at Chemical Engineering Department, IIT Kharagpur. Saturday 4 p.m. and Sunday 12 noon. Only on Rajya Sabha television.
Welcome back after the break. News from Jammu and Kashmir, where ceasefire violations are continuing. At least one BSF Jawan was killed and another one was injured in unprovoked Pakistani firing along the international border in Arnia sector. 4 civilians were also killed in shelling in border areas. Unprovoked shelling of mortars and heavy fire from the Pakistani side is said to have started early this morning. Another BSF Jawan was killed along the Jammu border area earlier this week while he was thwarting an infiltration bid. On to some other news, India remains the world's fastest growing major economy in the UN's latest survey of the global economy, with a projection of 7.5% for this year and 7.6% in the fiscal year 2018-19. The growth prospects have been raised due to robust private consumption, supportive fiscal policies, as well as benefits from past reforms. The report, however, said that a sustained recovery in private investment remains a crucial challenge. The UN estimate is slightly higher than the 7.4 estimate which was made for this year by the IMF or the International Monetary Fund, but lower than the 7.8 IMF estimate for the next year. Union Minister of State for Health Ashwini Kumar Chaubey on Thursday said that the stents used in the treatment of heart ailments would be provided free of cost to all persons below poverty line. He also said that the price of the stents have come down significantly now than what they used to be earlier. The Union Minister also informed that the centre had recently launched a TB-Free India campaign in a bid to eradicate the disease by 2025. Vice President M. Venkaiah Naidu on Friday said that a Swachh Bharat is a prerequisite for establishing a Swasth Bharat. Addressing a convocation of Lady Hardinge Medical College, the Vice President said that a lack of adequate medical facilities and shortage of doctors is a challenge. He said that the country needs human resource in the health sector, whether it is a medical college or the paramedical staff. Naidu also said that it is time for all public health experts, healthcare professionals, local bodies and communities to join hands in promoting hygiene and sanitation in a big way to build a Swachh Bharat. The Vice President also said that doctors are considered next to God and reminded them to uphold the trust and confidence of the patients.
Thought the doctors are revered as gods. Vaidyo Narayana Harihi. It is the ability to listen, ability to diagnose the problem, and the ability to heal that imparts this divine touch to the noble profession of your all engaged in. Training of young professionals in the science and arts of medicine is one of the most sacred duties one can ever perform. You are not only imparting knowledge and helping students to imbibe skills, but you are also facilitating the internalization of a set of values. Patience, understanding, empathy, and soothing expression and skillful assessment are crucial for a successful career in medicine.
Let's get you all the international news now. US President Donald Trump says that the so-called Libya model for denuclearization is not being pursued with North Korea. The clarification came after the suggestion put forward by his national security advisor, John Bolton, that prompted alarm in North Korea. In 2003, Libya's leader Muammar Gaddafi had agreed to give up his nuclear program, but he was killed by Western-backed rebels years later. Donald Trump also reassured Kim Jong-un that he would remain in power if he abandons his nuclear weapons program. But at the same time, he warned Kim that North Korea could be decimated if he refuses to strike a deal with the United States. Donald Trump further said that US and North Korean officials are continuing to prepare for a scheduled diplomatic summit next month. The developments come after North Korea warned on Wednesday that it might not attend the talks due to take place in Singapore on 12th of June.
Well, nothing has changed on North Korea that we know of. We have not been told anything, and if it does, that's fine. If it doesn't, I think we'll probably have a very successful meeting. But we have not been told anything. We're just reading stories like you are. We've heard certain things from South Korea, but we'll see what happens. If the meeting happens, it happens, and if it doesn't, we go on to the next step.
And Hawaii's Kilauea volcano spewed ash nearly 6 miles into the air, and scientists warn that this could be the first of a violent string of explosions in the crater. As per authorities, residents of the Big Island were warned to take shelter from the ash fallout as the toxic gas levels spiked in the small southeast area where the lava has burst from the ground since the eruption began 2 weeks ago. That's it in this edition of Midday News, but here is our special report. Well, the government has increased maternity leave for the working women in the organized sector from the current 12 weeks to 26 weeks. It was done by passing the Maternity Benefit Amendment Bill 2016 in Parliament. The provisions came into force from 1st of April 2017. They protect the employment of a woman and entitle her to full paid absence from work to take care of her child. It makes India third on the list of countries with most maternity leaves after Canada and Norway, where it is 50 weeks and 44 weeks respectively. The new provisions, which are an amendment to the Maternity Benefit Act of 1961, will benefit around 18 lakh working women in the country. Take a look at this report as we take your leave. Thanks for watching.
Neha lives in Delhi. She is a teacher in a local school. She has 2 kids. 8 years back, she was in deep quandary. She had an infant son to look after and a job to do. It was impossible to do justice to both, and there was no institutional support to bail her out. The situation has now changed with the amendments in the maternity law, giving huge relief to lakhs of working women like Neha. Recently, she became a mother again. This time, luck favored her. As per the new legal provisions, she got 6 months of paid leave from the school to take care of her infant girl. She joined back her duty after completing 6 months. As her child grows with each passing day, Neha now comfortably balances both her roles.
मैंने ये देखा कि पहले में 3 महीने के बाद मुझे अपना स्कूल ज्वाइन करना पड़ा, तो मुझे ये बहुत टेंशन रहती थी कि अब मेरा बच्चा क्या कर रहा है, उसने कुछ खाया पिया है कि नहीं, क्योंकि इस दौरान अब माँ की बहुत अच्छे से ज़रूरत होती है बच्चे को, और वो अच्छे से संभाल सकती है. लेकिन अब दूसरे में अब मुझे 6 मंथ्स का बेनिफिट मिल रहा है. एटलीस्ट मेरा बच्चा इतना होगा कि वो बॉटल फीड पे आ जाएगा और वो अपने आप को थोड़ा सा अपने आप को मैनेज करने लगेगा. तो ये 6 महीने जो हैं, ये इसमें मेरा बच्चा इस लायक हो जाएगा कि मैं उसकी इतनी देखभाल कर सकूं कि हाँ 6 महीने के बाद मुझे तसल्ली रहेगी कि वो अब अपनी देखभाल अपने थोड़ा सा उस पर आ जाएगा कि कोई और भी उसको संभाल सके.
Nuclear families are a new reality in big cities these days. Aarti and her husband are part of this growing fraternity. They live in Delhi. Aarti works in a private company. She underwent many sleepless nights during her pregnancy days, mulling over an absent support system post-childbirth. Now she's a mother. Those sleepless nights still continue, not because of previous worries, but since her newborn keeps her awake. Aarti is on paid leave. It ensured that her financial and mental stress are history.
6 मंथ के लिए काफ़ी बेनिफिट है, बिकॉज इसमें काफ़ी हमें जाने मिलता है बेबीज़ को, और डॉक्टर्स भी बोलते हैं 6 मंथ के लिए बेबी को अपनी दूध देने होते हैं. बट अब जब 6 मंथ का हो गया तो उनकी रूटीन भी पूरी होती है, उनकी काफ़ी देख सकते हैं हम दोनों ही कंपनी, बिकॉज बेबी 6 मंथ में सबको जानने लगते हैं, पहचानते हैं, तो किसी पे भी रह सकते हैं. पर 3 मंथ में नहीं होता है सर, जैसे वो अपनी मोम के अलावा कहीं और नहीं रह पाते हैं और काफ़ी कुछ हो जाता है, बीमार होते हैं बेबी काफ़ी. बट 6 मंथ काफ़ी अच्छा है.
हम एक तरीके से फाइनेंशियल अपना मतलब जो भी डिसीज़न है मेरी वाइफ ले सकती है और स्ट्रांग हो सकते हैं इससे. और काफ़ी सारे बेनिफिट है कि अभी मतलब 3 महीने में ये था कि भाई मैं अगर मेरी वाइफ जॉब स्विच छोड़ना चाह रही है तो उसमें मतलब लॉस था, लेकिन अभी जो है 6 महीने का जो मतलब है उससे बेनिफिट है कि मतलब आगे हमारा बच्चा इतना उस काबिल हो सकता है कि हम उसे किसी अपनी फैमिली मेम्बर्स को दे सकते हैं. जॉब का छोड़ने का मतलब अगर आगे से कंटिन्यू करना चाहती है तो वो आगे कंटिन्यू कर सकती है.
Maternity Benefit Amendment Bill 2016 became law after getting presidential assent in March 2017. The important takeaways of this law are: women in organized sector entitled to paid maternity leaves of 26 weeks up from 12 weeks. Maternity leave of 12 weeks to mothers adopting a child below the age of 3 months. Mandatory for every establishment with more than 50 employees to provide crèche facilities within a prescribed distance. The law applicable to all establishments employing 10 or more people. Employer can permit a woman to work from home if the nature of work assigned permits her to do so. This option can be availed of after the period of maternity leave. Medical Fraternity too has given thumbs up to this bright social initiative by the government, which promotes mother-child health and strengthens the institution of family.
हमारे देश में 90% औरतों को अनीमिया है, खून की कमी है, और डिलीवरी के बाद ये प्रॉब्लम बहुत ज़्यादा हो जाती है. 3 महीने टाइम ही नहीं है कि ये रिकवरी हो सके. तो अगर आप 6 महीने का टाइम दे औरत को इससे रिकवर करने के लिए, तो वो उसकी हेल्थ पे बहुत ज़्यादा उसका पॉजिटिव इफ़ेक्ट होता है, मतलब बहुत ज़्यादा फ़ायदा होता है. उसमें बच्चे को एक्सक्लूसिव ब्रेस्ट फीडिंग मिनिमम 4 से 6 महीने की ज़रूरत है ही, मैंडेटरी है.
Today, India is far ahead of many Western countries on the issue of paid leaves, like USA 2.6 weeks, Britain 12.2 weeks, Australia 7.6 weeks, Spain 16 weeks, France 18 weeks, Italy 25.2 weeks.
Giving relief to working mothers, Narendra Modi government has accepted the amendments in the maternity bill. Now the working mothers will get 26 weeks of paid leave during their maternity phase. This will benefit working mothers both personally and professionally. With video journalist Vijay, Anudivan for Rajya Sabha TV.